My dear listener, imagine waking up every day with the mindset that nothing, absolutely nothing can shake you. You are a force, unbothered, unmovable, and unwavering in the face of life's storms. You see, life will throw challenges your way, disappointments, setbacks, failures. But the power lies not in what happens to you, but in how you respond. Too often, we let external circumstances dictate our internal peace. We give power to the opinions of others, to the frustrations of the day, to the obstacles in front of us. But you were designed for more. You were not made to be a product of your circumstances. You are made to be a master over them. When you learn to act as if nothing bothers you, you break free from the grip of fear, doubt, and worry. You walk with a quiet confidence, knowing that your strength comes from within, from a foundation of purpose and belief that nothing can disturb. The world may tremble around you, but you stand firm, not because you don't feel the weight of the trials, but because you know your destiny is far greater than any momentary discomfort. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. And when you choose to act as if nothing bothers you, you become unstoppable. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. One moment you may feel on top of the world, and the next you may find yourself facing a setback, a disappointment, or a challenge that seems insurmountable. In those moments, we are presented with a choice: to let the situation dictate our peace and emotions, or to take control of our response. The real power in life does not lie in what happens to you, but in how you choose to respond. Think about a boat on a turbulent sea. The ocean may be rough, the winds may howl, and the waves may crash violently against the sides. But the boat does not sink because of the water around it. It sinks because of the water that gets inside. Life's challenges are like those waves, constantly coming at us, threatening to overwhelm us, but we are not defeated by the difficulties themselves. We are defeated when we allow those challenges to penetrate our minds and hearts, affecting how we think and feel. In the Bible, we are reminded time and again about the importance of guarding our hearts and minds. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." The heart, in this context, represents the seat of our emotions, thoughts, and decisions. When we let the events of life, the words of others, or the disappointments we face control how we feel, we are allowing external forces to determine the direction of our lives. But if we learn to take control of our responses, to act with intention and purpose, we can navigate the storms of life without being destroyed by them. We see this in the story of Jesus when he was in the boat with his disciples during a storm. Mark 4:39 tells us that Jesus got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And the wind died down and it was completely calm. Notice that Jesus did not panic. He did not react in fear or worry. Instead, he took control of the situation by speaking with authority over the storm. It was the master of his response. His actions teach us that when we learn to respond with calm, confidence, and faith, we have the power to change the environment around us. In our own lives, how often do we react impulsively to situations? How often do we let anger, frustration, or fear drive our responses? The key is not to be a passive recipient of life's challenges, but to actively choose how we will respond. If you are facing difficulty in your career, your relationships, or your health, the question is not whether those challenges are valid. They are. The question is, will you allow them to control your emotions, your thoughts, and your peace? Or will you take charge, responding with calm and confidence, knowing that your God-given strength lies in your ability to manage your response? Think of a coach during a game. The game may not always go according to plan, but the coach's job is to remain composed, adjust the strategy, and keep the players focused. In the same way, life often throws us curveballs, and our job is to remain composed, adjust our mindset, and stay focused on our purpose. When we act in response to life's challenges with clarity and purpose, we tap into a strength that goes beyond what we see in the natural world. How often do we allow ourselves to be swept away by the waves of life because we don't take the time to pause and think before reacting? What would happen if instead we paused, took a deep breath, and asked ourselves, what is my response going to be? Will I let this define me, or will I define how I respond? In those moments, you find your power. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a master of your response. The key is to remember that your peace and your power are not determined by the storm, but by your ability to manage how you choose to respond to it. In every situation, you hold the key to your emotional state, your thoughts, and your ultimate direction. You are not powerless. You are empowered by your choices. Your response can change everything. There is a profound difference between reacting to life circumstances and walking with unshakable confidence in the face of them. To walk with unshakable confidence is to understand that no matter what happens around you, your internal peace and assurance are unmovable. Life is constantly shifting. The winds change, people disappoint, and obstacles arise. But in the midst of all this, you have the power to remain anchored. Confidence is not the absence of challenges, but the presence of a deep, unwavering belief in who you are, whose you are, and the purpose you're meant to fulfill. As you might imagine, when we look to the Bible, we see countless examples of individuals who walked with confidence, not because their lives were free of struggles, but because their confidence was rooted in their identity and the promises of God. Take David, for example. As a young shepherd boy, David faced a giant, Goliath, who was much taller, stronger, and more experienced in battle. But David did not cower in fear. Instead, he stood before the giant and boldly declared in 2 Samuel 17:45, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David's confidence was not in his size or his strength, but in the unshakable belief that God was with him. He understood that his circumstances did not define him. His God did. This kind of confidence doesn't come from the absence of fear or difficulty. Rather, it is the choice to move forward in spite of those things. It's like the foundation of a house that remains steady despite the storms and winds that rage above ground. The house is secure not because the weather outside is calm, but because its foundation is strong. Our confidence must be rooted in something far greater than the fleeting circumstances of life, something eternal and unchanged. For the believer, that foundation is faith in God, trust in His Word, and the knowledge that we are never alone in our struggles. In life, how often do we allow the opinions of others to shape our confidence? How often do we look to external validation, to the success of others, or to societal standards to determine our worth and capability? The problem with this approach is that external validation is always shifting. It's unreliable and temporary. But the confidence that comes from understanding your identity, your true identity, is unshakable. When you are confident in who you are and what you are capable of, nothing can strip that away. Think about a child who is learning to walk. At first, they fall repeatedly, yet they never lose their confidence. They don't sit back and say, I can't walk. Instead, they get back up again and again, learning from each fall. Their confidence is built on the knowledge that they were created to walk. And the moment they embrace that, they stand up, try again, and keep moving. They don't allow the stumbles to define their journey. They understand that falling is simply a part of the process. In the same way, we must refuse to let failures, mistakes, or challenges knock us off course. When you walk in unshakable confidence, you view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, not as indications of your inadequacy. You do not allow them to define your potential. Instead, you stay focused on your purpose. In Romans 8:31, we are reminded, if God is for us, who can be against us? This is the mindset of a person who understands the power of unshakable confidence. It is the knowledge that no external force, no matter how powerful it may seem, can stand in the way of what God has destined for you. This confidence gives you the ability to face any challenge, not with fear or hesitation, but with a bold assurance that nothing can stop you from fulfilling your purpose. So when life gets tough and obstacles seem to loom large, ask yourself, what am I confident in? If your confidence is in the circumstances or in other people's approval, then it will waver. But if your confidence is in God, in your purpose, and in the belief that you are equipped to overcome any obstacle, you will stand tall, unshaken, and unwavering. No storm, no challenge, no person can take that away from you. Your confidence is unshakable. To embrace purpose in life is to understand that everything you encounter, every challenge, every triumph, every moment of joy and sorrow is part of a larger plan. Purpose is the guiding force that propels you forward, gives meaning to your actions, and provides clarity in times of uncertainty. Without purpose, life becomes a series of random events, and we can easily become lost in the chaos of daily existence. That when you embrace your purpose, you begin to view each moment, each decision, and each trial as an opportunity to fulfill the reason you were created. The Bible teaches us about purpose from the very beginning. In the book of Genesis, we are told that man was created in the image of God with a specific purpose, to have dominion over the earth and to be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 1:28 says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. This is a foundational truth. You were created with intention, and your life is meant to accomplish something significant. Imagine a beautifully crafted piece of art, whether it's a painting, a sculpture, or a finely constructed building. Each of these things was designed with a clear purpose in mind. A painter does not begin with a blank canvas without a vision of what the finished piece will look like. A builder does not lay the first stone of a house without knowing what the final structure will be. In the same way, you were created with purpose in mind. Your life is not random. It is a masterpiece in the making. Yet, how often do we lose sight of our purpose? In the hustle of daily life, it's easy to become distracted, to get caught up in the pursuit of success, approval, or comfort. We might find ourselves chasing after things that don't truly align with the purpose for which we were created. The danger in this is that we begin to live according to the expectations of others or societal norms, rather than according to the calling placed upon our lives. When you embrace purpose, you stop living for the approval of others and instead you live for the fulfillment of your God-given calling. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, speaks about the pursuit of a higher purpose. He says in Philippians 3:14, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Paul's words remind us that the pursuit of purpose is not always easy. It requires intentionality, focus, and the determination to press on, even when the road gets tough. Purpose is not always aligned with ease, but it always aligns with fulfillment. Think of a runner preparing for a marathon. The race may be grueling, and there are moments when the runner might feel exhausted, discouraged, or tempted to give up. But the runner continues because they have a clear purpose in mind to cross the finish line. They keep pushing, not because the race is easy, but because the finish line is worth it. In the same way, when we embrace our purpose, we press forward, not because the journey is free of obstacles, but because we know that fulfilling our purpose is worth every challenge we face. Now ask yourself, what is my purpose? Are you living with intentionality, or are you simply going through the motions of life? What do you feel deeply passionate about? What does God want you to accomplish in this world? Purpose is not always something that is immediately obvious. Sometimes it requires time, reflection, and prayer to uncover. But once you begin to understand your purpose, your life takes on a new direction and meaning. It is no longer just about surviving the day-to-day. It becomes about thriving in your calling, using every experience and every decision as an opportunity to fulfill the reason you were placed on this earth. When you embrace purpose, you also embrace the reality that your life has a divine significance. Your purpose is not just for you. It is for the world around you. You were created to make an impact, to serve others, and to reflect the glory of God. This understanding gives you the strength to persevere, the courage to face challenges, and the wisdom to make decisions that align with your calling. Embrace your purpose and let it guide you through every season of life. One of the most powerful choices you can make in life is to control your mindset. Your mind is the battlefield where victories and defeats are determined. Every thought, every belief, every attitude you carry shapes your reality and influences how you experience the world. The question is, who is in control of your mind, your circumstances, or you? Are you allowing the trials of life to dictate your thoughts, or are you taking authority over them and choosing to direct your focus and attitudes according to a higher purpose? But the Bible speaks profoundly about the power of the mind. Romans 12:2 urges us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not a passive instruction. It's a directive to actively take charge of how we think. Our thoughts influence our emotions, our decisions, and ultimately our actions. If we don't control our thoughts, we'll find ourselves being tossed around like a boat on a stormy sea, constantly reacting to everything that happens around us. But when we take control of our minds, we become the ones who steer the ship. Think about the power of a thought. It starts small, but it can grow into something much larger. A single thought can become a belief, and a belief can become an action. For example, if you constantly think, I am not good enough, that thought will begin to define your actions, your relationships, and your self-worth. But if you choose to think, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, as Psalm 139:14 says, that thought will shape your reality in a completely different direction. The power of controlling your mindset lies in the ability to choose thoughts that align with truth, purpose, and faith. In life, we are often faced with situations that are beyond our control. The people around us may act in ways that disappoint us, circumstances may shift unexpectedly, and obstacles may seem insurmountable. But your thoughts about those situations, how you choose to view them, are completely within your control. You can choose to see every setback as a failure, or you can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. You can choose to view a challenge as a threat, or you can choose to view it as a stepping stone to greater strength. The story of Joshua and Caleb in the Bible illustrates this principle beautifully. In Numbers 13, when the Israelites were about to enter the promised land, Moses sent 12 spies to explore it. 10 of them returned with reports of giants and obstacles, saying, "We can't do it, we're too small." But Joshua and Caleb, though they saw the same giants, responded with a different mindset. We are well able to overcome it. Joshua and Caleb's mindset was rooted in faith, belief, and the certainty that God had given them the land. Their mindset was not shaped by the giants they saw, but by the promise they knew. What did this mindset produce? Confidence, courage, action, and ultimately victory. When you control your mindset, you shift the way you approach every situation. You stop reacting to circumstances and start responding with purpose. You understand that no matter how big the obstacle or how difficult the journey, you have been equipped with everything you need to overcome. Think of an athlete preparing for a competition. It's not just physical training that makes the difference, it's the mental game. In fact, many top athletes say that the most important part of their preparation is the ability to focus and control their mindset. They practice visualizing success, pushing aside negative thoughts, and maintaining a positive and determined outlook. This same principle applies to life. You can't control every situation, but you can control how you respond to it. You can decide whether you'll be defeated by fear and negativity or empowered by faith and belief. The Bible tells us to take every thought captive, 2 Corinthians 10:5. This means that we have the power to choose what we allow to enter our minds and what we choose to dwell on. When negative or defeating thoughts arise, you have the authority to dismiss them and replace them with thoughts of strength, faith, and victory. This is not to deny the reality of challenges, but to assert that your mindset will not be governed by them. So ask yourself, what thoughts are controlling me? Are they thoughts of defeat, fear, and anxiety? Or are they thoughts of power, faith, and possibility? You are the one who determines the direction of your mind. If you want to change your life, you must first change your thinking. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions determine your future. Take control of your mindset today, and you will begin to see a transformation in every area of your life. In life, there is a profound difference between reacting to situations and responding with purpose. Responding means taking a moment to reflect, to process, and to choose the course of action based on your values, principles, and vision. Reacting, on the other hand, is often impulsive, driven by emotions or external circumstances. It's the difference between being led by the waves of life and being in control of the direction you choose to sail. The ability to respond rather than react is a powerful skill that can change the course of your life. Think about how often we react in the heat of the moment, perhaps in anger, frustration, or fear. We get a bad review at work. Someone criticizes us, or something unexpected happens, and before we know it, we've reacted without thinking, often saying or doing something we regret. This reactive mindset is not only harmful to our relationships and peace of mind, but it also robs us of the opportunity to exercise control and clarity. Proverbs 14:29 says, "Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly." This wisdom reminds us that reacting impulsively can often lead to poor decisions and unnecessary conflict. But when we choose to respond with patience and understanding, we make decisions that are rooted in wisdom and purpose. Consider the difference between a firefighter and someone caught in a fire. A firefighter, when faced with flames, doesn't run into the fire unprepared or react without thinking. They assess the situation, make a plan, and execute their response with precision. The same situation, the same fire, but vastly different outcomes because of how they respond. In life, we can choose to be like the firefighter, calm, deliberate, and intentional, or we can let the flames of life overwhelm us, reacting out of fear or panic. Jesus himself exemplified this principle when he faced the storm on the Sea of Galilee. In Mark 4:38 through 39, we read, Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drowned?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. And in the midst of the storm, while the disciples were reacting in fear and panic, Jesus responded with calm authority. He didn't let the circumstances dictate his peace or actions. Instead, he chose to speak to the storm with authority. Jesus understood that his response mattered more than the storm itself. So what can we learn from this? We learn that our response is powerful, not because of the situation, but because of the mindset and authority with which we choose to respond. We can't always control the storms of life, but we can control how we engage with them. When faced with challenges, we have the opportunity to choose faith over fear, patience over impatience, and peace over panic. Think about a musician preparing for a performance. There may be distractions, technical difficulties, or moments of uncertainty. But the true test of the musician is not in how they respond to the distractions, but in how they maintain their focus and continue to play their music with precision and passion. The musician doesn't react to every glitch. They respond with composure, knowing that their practice and preparation will guide them through. In the same way, life requires that we prepare ourselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally so that when the inevitable challenges arise, we can respond with purpose, clarity, and wisdom. When we react to life, we often do so out of emotion, out of anger, frustration, or fear. But when we choose to respond, we act out of intention, guided by values, principles, and faith. It's a matter of taking a step back, breathing deeply, and asking yourself, what is the best course of action in this moment? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my purpose? When we respond thoughtfully, we are choosing the path of strength, wisdom, and peace. This is what leads to growth and transformation. In Corinthians 10:5, we are reminded to take captive every thought, to make it obedient to Christ. This is a call to take control of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, refusing to let them run wild based on circumstances. Instead, we must choose to respond with clarity and purpose. This doesn't mean ignoring our emotions or pretending the situation is not challenging. It means deciding how we will engage with those emotions and situations. Will we let them control us, or will we choose to act in alignment with our higher purpose? When you learn to respond rather than react, you begin to live with intentionality. Your decisions are no longer governed by the whims of the moment, but by the clarity of your purpose and values. You become a person who does not simply survive the challenges of life, but thrives in them, making decisions that are wise, reflective, and aligned with your destiny. As we reflect on these powerful principles, learning to act as if nothing bothers you, embracing your purpose, controlling your mindset, and responding with intention, we are reminded that life is not something that happens to us. It is something we have the power to shape. The challenges you face, the storms that arise, and the obstacles that seem insurmountable are all opportunities for you to stand firm, rise above, and fulfill the purpose for which you were created. Remember, the way you respond to life, the way you choose to think, and the way you walk in your confidence all begin with a choice to trust in who you are, whose you are, and the promises that have been given to you. So no matter what you face today or tomorrow, know this: you are more than capable, more than equipped, and you have the power to overcome. As you step forward, walk in the authority that comes from knowing your purpose, your mindset, and your identity in Christ. May your path be clear, your strength unshakable, and your actions purposeful. Good luck on this journey, and thank you for allowing me to share this time with you. Stay focused, stay faithful, and always remember you have been created for greatness. Thank you.